only way to expose the truth is to be indecent. Two men might just be indecent enough to do it. Enter a wannabe amateur disc golfer who reads Reddit threads and a fake cowboy who lifts weights. This is Indecent Exposure. It's time to plunge down the rabbit hole with your hosts, Ryan and Sam.
Forget to my camera shuts off or something.
There it goes.
I don't know. I can't see myself. I turned it off, but I can't see myself. Still having technical difficulties.
I see you.
Oh, there it is. There it is. We're good. Yeah, we're fine. Okay. All right. We're fine. So, dude, I was doing some research about this guy. Did you watch the, and for anyone listening, we're going to talk about John McAfee. I'm just going to get right into it a little bit.
Well, hey, Sam.
Hey. I mean, we've been talking for a minute, so.
I haven't edited the episode yet.
I know. Well, that's true. Okay, well, that's fine. What's been going on in your life, Ryan? Anything that I need to know about?
God, that's the most insincere question I've ever gotten from you.
Sorry.
That was so insincere.
That was so mean. Yeah. It's like, it was kind of like, I also told my hygienist today, I was like, because we were talking about things that bothered us going to the dentist when we were kids and stuff. You're probably like, how are you talking this much with your dental hygienist when you're like, just got your fingers in my mouth?
She sounds like a terrible hygienist.
I was like, I used to hate going to the dentist because it was they always gave me the bubble gum, and I didn't realize I had options of mint and other flavors, and so I hated sugar sweets growing up. Still do to this day, frosting, that sort of sweetness,
Right.
It's concentrated. And I was like, now as an adult, I hate going to the dentist and talking to my actual dentist for 2 minutes and making small talk because it's just bullshit. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm it's the most awkward 2 minutes of, hey, Sam, how you doing?
Yep.
Long time no see. How's life going? I'm like, dude, you see 80 people a day. You have no idea what's going on in my life. But, that's a part of adulthood of that small talk I hate. Not that small talk's bad. It's not great.
Yeah, you sold me on it. You sold me on that. I dropped something. Hold on.
Okay. So yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. What was that grunt for? Why was it so hard to pick that item up?
Because I'm almost 32.
Would you drop something?
Almost 32. That's what that grunt was.
Have you thrown out your back yet?
What does that
After
mean?
you turn 30?
Thrown out.
Like you tweak something in your back to where you're almost incapable of bending your back. You're legit walking around like this. You're but you're literally walking like this.
I'm gonna say no.
You just cannot bend it at all.
I'm gonna say no. I've had lower back injuries from lifting, but no, I've never been.
Yeah, no. That's self-inflicted. I'm talking. You're getting off the toilet and you throw your back out, and you're like, "What did I just do?"
I feel like on our last episode, which was I don't even know, a month ago.
Sure, everyone loves this.
You were complaining. You were complaining of this.
Yeah, okay, continue.
Yeah, I'm just. No, that was it. That was my point. I was just picking up my coaster, my "Don't Tread on Me" coaster.
Oh snap! There's a volcanic eruption in Iceland right now. Interesting.
Is it ending is it going to kill off humans?
No, but it's a pretty, from what it looks like, pretty large. I don't know what these numbers mean at the bottom here, but I don't know. It doesn't look too bad. And it's Iceland. Does anyone live there?
Yes.
Probably not.
No,
probably not.
People definitely live there.
No, I think it's
some of the strongest people in the world are from there.
Is it which one is it? Greenland or Iceland? That's like the really icy one. Isn't
Greenland.
Yeah, that's like super icy.
Yeah.
Like people didn't want it. They named it that country so people didn't go there, right?
Iceland?
No, there's a thing about Iceland and Greenland where like it's the opposite. So I think Iceland is like the green, like it's like
Yeah, it's beautiful.
it's beautiful, right? And I think Iceland's like
Greenland.
Greenland's the crappy one.
Yeah.
Right. So people were like, "Oh, let's go to Greenland instead of Iceland." So they went there and they're like, "Holy shit, this place is like inhabitable."
Yeah.
And then over there at Iceland, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's beautiful. You sailed to the wrong country, buddy."
Fooled you.
But that they were like the OG trolls per se.
They were.
That's mastermind right there.
So
I
if you live in Greenland, you're fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Got you. Got your ass.
Iceland. Okay. Yeah, they did. Life good though, seriously.
Yeah.
From the bottom of my heart. You happy?
Yeah, dude. Doing good.
You got a wedding coming up in 2 months? About 2 months and 2 days.
Yeah.
Is it you're getting married on the 29th?
30th.
30th. Man, I was close.
You were close.
Our anniversaries are going to be one day off from each
wild.
other. Crazy. It's a good time to get married.
We can do a double date for our anniversaries for the rest of our lives. For the rest of our lives.
Perfect. Every year I will
of our lives.
Every year I will look so forward to not only seeing my beautiful, beautiful wife, but also my friend and his wife.
Until you die.
Right. That's another thing kind of pissed me off. Sorry, I'm going back into the bachelor party BS. I was supposed to go to Mexico with my wife for our 5-year anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And then all my friends decided to get married this year and said, it'd be a good month. The same date around when Deb and Sam got married. And you know what? Let's just go on really expensive bachelor parties. And then he can't afford it. He'll have to stay here.
Thanks for coming, man. Glad you were there.
No, it was great. I wouldn't take it back.
We did a whole podcast episode on it, so. Yeah.
It's gonna keep continuing. I'm sorry, I gotta turn on my bottom fan here.
You're a nut fan?
Cool. My nut fan. I
we
didn't
talked
want to
about
say
it last
that.
time, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, dude, it's been a while, all right? I gotta recap my entire life on here.
Yeah, kind of feel
Let
like
everyone
I have
know
to.
what's going on.
Anyways, welcome to episode 23.
We finally made it. We took a summer break.
We did take a little summer hiatus there. We are going to be more focused on a schedule approach moving forward.
Yeah.
That we actually are implementing, which will be good.
We had to grow up and be adults and actually get like our own calendars that I can see
shared
when
calendars.
Ryan's available.
Shared calendars. Like
You're an adult when you doing that. Not like I do that with my wife, not my friends, but here we are.
Yeah. Well,
our lives are just busy.
This is a business venture. All right. But not
right.
Really.
I'm putting my time in, #time in, and eventually I hope I get paid for it.
Me too, man. Me too. It's the idea. But we're talking about an interesting topic today. Interesting man, a very eclectic, eccentric man, Mr. John McAfee, which for those that don't know John McAfee, he was the antivirus mogul. Who bought him out? Somebody bought him. I can't remember the name of the company that bought him.
Was it Norton?
Was it Norton that bought him? Somebody bought him for like $8 billion or something.
Oh my gosh, was it really?
Yeah, he got bought out for a lot of money. He's like a super genius, especially when it comes to computers and technology. He's also a huge troll. He was trolling a lot of people like during that whole the whole stint when he was on the run. But he has a really, really interesting story.
And I don't know if he's, after doing some research, I don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy. I haven't really made my mind up on it.
It's kind of like, it's kind of the interesting, like he has, he's done some good things, where he was like, supplying police forces with, money and like new computers and whatnot, like donating stuff to them. And then he's also doing tax evasion, tax fraud, running from the government, moving into another country. Maybe murdered his neighbor.
Yeah.
Pretty big deal.
Got it. We might get into that in a little bit.
That's kind of
I don't know
part of the story.
I'd say that's the only like conspiracy part of the whole story.
I think there's more conspiracy to it. There's a lot of conspiracy to it.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. So there's a couple of documentaries if you're interested about this guy. There's, I don't remember the one, but there's one on Netflix. What is it called?
It's called Running with the Devil, The Wild Life of John McAfee.
I watched it Tuesday night, and it's about 2 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
And the first like hour, I'm just like, this guy's just a piece of shit. Like really, that I didn't know which way this documentary was like portraying this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last 45 minutes, I'm like, is he a piece of shit? I'm just like, I don't know where to like put my thoughts on the guy. He's just very interesting.
Yep.
I think he got like batshit crazy towards the end of his life. All right.
I think he did. I think he was just because he's on the run. All he was doing was drinking and doing drugs and, just kind of like living life out on the lam.
And he told me he had an episode with Joe Rogan, right?
Yes, he did an episode with Joe Rogan. Like
I started to listen to that today.
Did you? It's pretty crazy, dude.
I listened to the first hour and then work happened. And I'm like, what is this guy talking? He is like, and this was probably 4 or 5 years before he died?
No.
What year did he die?
He died in 21.
Okay. So then like 9 years.
Yeah, almost a decade after he was on Joe Rogan. He went on Joe Rogan's podcast like literally once he was on the run for like 6 months.
Yeah, and before Joe Rogan had probably the audience that he has today.
He was still
if you look at it, he's like us right now, sitting on a computer, the microphone, everything. Like Joe Rogan was way ahead of our time when it came to podcasting. Now everyone has one,
unfortunately, but.
Not helping us, but we are. We like to do it.
We do like to do it. Yeah. So I think like his whole thing started out, he was, this genius who was just like a pioneer when it came to.
He was really good with computers. Like it was before we had the internet. He was already messing with computers.
Yep. He worked. Didn't he do something with NASA? I thought he had some role with NASA.
He was employed by NASA as a programmer in 1968 to 1970 for the Apollo program, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And this is like, we're talking computers that were like the size of a house.
Right.
Like that's how big they were back in the day. And they had to like insert these cards, to make it do like a calculation. Basically, you can pull out your phone and do it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went to work for a computer sciences corporation after that. And then he got employed by Lockheed, which, if you know who Lockheed Martin is, before Martin came, they make bombs, missiles.
Right.
They have major contracts with the DoD, Department of Defense.
Yeah.
So he knows his computers in and out before we even knew what the internet was. I'm sure they had kind of an internet back in the government heyday, right? I would think.
Of course.
Some sort.
Of course. He also then founded his own company, which was McAfee, which most people probably have on their computers. McAfee antivirus.
It just like came installed, right? Like most.
Yeah.
He probably signed a huge contract with Microsoft and said, "Hey, put my shit on every single computer that you sell, and I'll take 5% profit. You can have the rest." And so the guy has never had to worry about money. I don't know what his like all-time worth at one time was, but I think it's fair to say he was probably close to the billions. He didn't have to worry about money. Let's just say that.
Definitely not. And then he got in trouble. He was kind of he from what I got from listening to him talk, and then like having listened to like his family members talk about him, like he was always one to be kind of like a partier, and he liked to live life on like the side of not really giving a shit, doing whatever he wants, kind of
bad boy mentality.
Kind of a bad boy mentality.
Wasn't he talking about MDMT with Joe Rogan, like kind of the beginning there?
Yeah, he was talking about like, yeah, it did sound like something that was kind of like ecstasy related. Like he was like formulating like a sex drug or something.
Yeah, right. But he was talking about Viagra and like he's like, all these pharmaceutical companies are making stuff like what I was trying to make. And I
Yeah.
was like, what the hell are you talking about, bro?
It's a hypersexuality drug or something like that.
Which I think what like Molly turned into, because everyone heard of like ecstasy growing up, like it was supposed to make you like super, stimulated and like,
Happy and euphoric.
yeah, right. Euphoric, and those feelings lead to another, especially with the, whoever you like, and magical things can happen. And then Molly was like ecstasy's step friend. Where it like blended, yeah, it basically blended like cocaine with ecstasy. So not only were you super euphoric, happy, you were also like energetic. And I remember going to a party, Ryan, when I was like 20 years old up in, I'm not even going to say what state, but it was somewhere. And everyone took Molly except me and another guy, because I was like, I don't know, 19 at the time, and I didn't want to snort off of a glass plane of some sorts and not know exactly what it was. Anyways, I went to bed
19-year-old.
Yeah, I went to bed like 2 o'clock after doing some underage drinking, like most degenerates do at that age.
In college?
Yeah. And maybe I was 18. I don't know. I was 18 or 19. It doesn't matter. And I remember going to someone's house, sleeping, and then coming back to the house where everyone took all the Molly. And dude, they were still, and this is like 8 o'clock in the morning. They are still going to town. Like people still had bottles in their hands, like still drinking. Like they couldn't, like you couldn't stop partying. People were on the roof with like fifths of Jack Daniels. When I was driving in, I was like, what the hell is going on, dude? I'm ready to go home. There's people still partying here. It was crazy. Don't do drugs, kids. Anyways.
That sounds like, now I'm like 31. I'm like, God.
It sounds
terrible. I want to go to bed
right?
at a reasonable hour.
I want
and not feel like garbage.
When I was at a bachelor party last weekend, I was coming home at 2:30 in the morning, and I was like, I am exhausted, dude. I cannot do this to my body.
My ears are ringing.
Yeah, I can't do it anymore. I'm too old. I don't know. I did it 10 years ago, staying up to like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Anywho.
Just young, healthy organs, man.
Yeah.
They can handle more.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was making a drug. And please continue. I am so sorry.
You're good, man. Like, I know he was formulating a drug, and then he had like, I want to say I can't remember the exact reason why he moved. I think he moved from the States because he was like evading taxes. And then when he was in Belize, like he wasn't
that's what they said, but like according to him, and like there's always two sides of the story. He was like, they can't extradite me to the United States to get arrested for it for whatever reason, because he's like, I pay my taxes. He sounds like kind of like all the other elites are like I just use the loopholes. Like I think Donald Trump said it during one of the presidential candidates, because Hillary was like, you use the same loopholes and didn't pay any taxes, and he's like, you're right, I did. And it's like, okay.
He's like, so do you.
And so do you, and so do all your donors. So it's so I think it was one of those one-off things. I don't know. It's crazy to me that someone like Trump or McAfee or even Clinton can make millions of dollars a year and then pay $750 in taxes, whereas I'm paying like way more than that. What are we doing? What loophole do I got to follow? To get into this? Because I'd love to pay no taxes on my less than $100,000 salary.
I agree with you, man. Income taxes, theft.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then it sounds like when he was over in Belize, it sounded like the Belizean government was wanting him to like give them money as well, and he wouldn't give them money. And so they were looking for any reason whatsoever to charge him with a crime. And they were trying to, remember he talked about, they were trying to charge him with like operating a lab out of his mansion. And he was like, I was never operating a lab, so they had nothing on me. And then the conspiratorial part that comes in is like his neighbor.
This part is crazy. When I heard this in the story, on Running with the Devil or whatever it was, I was like blown away because everything points to where it's like, yeah, he did it.
Yeah.
So go ahead and tell the details because I think it's fascinating.
So the details of his neighbor. His neighbor lived about 200 yards down the beach from him, and they had
let me get a picture.
Yeah,
so they can get a visual.
They had a known dispute because John McAfee was a big dog guy, had a bunch of dogs, I think 4 or 5 dogs. And his neighbor used to complain because his dogs would bark and they'd bark all night. And then somebody allegedly poisoned his dogs. I can't remember the poison that we used, but it was a very slow, painful death. And so John he claims that he put his dogs out of their misery and shot his dogs and buried them on his property. And I know in the documentary, somebody said there was like a soundbite or somebody quoted him saying like, he said, "I'm going to kill that motherfucker," or something like that. And then was it like a day or two later, his neighbor ends up dead?
It was literally one day later. So here, let me see if I can share this real quick.
Or just put it in text chat. I can pull it up.
Oh, yeah. Let's just do that. That'll be easiest.
Because the murder
just to give you a visual,
weird.
Because I think it makes more sense of like how spaced out these or how close they are. So they all have like their own dogs, and they're only living on I say only $500,000 houses, but $500,000 houses. Well, which in Belize, I don't know if that's actual 500 USD or not, but yeah. So dogs get poisoned, and yeah, like basically the dogs are vomiting and like crapping out blood and stuff like that. And like you said, so he put them down, and then a day later, like not even 24 hours passed by, neighbor was it shot in the head?
Yeah.
Yeah, shot in the head. And so all fingers point to John that he killed this guy, right? It makes sense. Like dogs get poisoned. He wants to retaliate and then go kill a guy. But I don't think John was actually at his house when the murder happened. So it doesn't put him in the place that he did the murder itself. And
so looking at this, what's which estate is his and which is his neighbor's?
I don't know. But I was just trying to give you just a visual.
Oh, a visual. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, his background anyways, so that's the whole thing. And there's been no details. The family's still looking for like who's responsible of the murders itself, of the murder. And so they have no idea. And there's no
unsolved murder.
There's just no concrete evidence that John did any misdoing, but from speculation and conspiracy theorists is that he hired someone to shoot him, which makes sense because like you said at the beginning of this, he when he gets to Belize, he's like not paying off, but he's giving gifts and stuff to the police. Like he's making friends with the right type of people. And he always said that Belize was like super corrupt. So like, are you gonna go down there and play by the rules, or are you gonna play by theirs?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're gonna have that amount, you're gonna make friends pretty easily. If something happens, like your dogs get poisoned, I think you probably have a friend or two down there. And that's not even like what probably people he knows back in the States. He made friends pretty quick. How long did he live there before this shindig went down?
In Belize?
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea.
I think he went down in 2010, 2009. That sound right?
Possibly.
Sure. So I'm not super sure. I don't know why Wikipedia's not even pulling up which is crazy.
Well, what's interesting, if you go to his website, which is whoismcafee.com.
Oh, wait. Death of Gregory Faull.
There it is.
Faull. So in 2012, Okay. Let me read this from Wikipedia real quick. On November 12, 2012, Belize police began to search for McAfee as a person of interest in connection to the homicide investigation of the American expatriate Gregory Vian Faull, who is that really how you say that?
Expatriate, yeah.
Oh, I'm an idiot. He was found dead by a gunshot wound the day before his home. The day before at his home in Belize, the largest island in Belize, whatever. I wasn't going to pronounce that. Neighbor McAfee. Oh my gosh, this article is terrible. McAfee said that he was afraid the police would kill him and refuse their routine questions, and so he started to evade them. He buried himself in sand for several hours with a cardboard box over his head. I don't remember this. Belize's prime minister. Belize's prime minister called him extremely paranoid, even bonkers. He fled Belize rather than cooperate. But he was like on a boat for a long time. I remember that. 2012, December, so a month after, Vice accidentally gave away McAfee's location in Guatemalan resort with a photo. While in Guatemala, McAfee asked someone, an American cartoonist and animator, set up a blog so he can write an experience while he was on the run. Like, what? And on December 5th, he was arrested in Guatemala for entering illegally. Because I'm pretty sure like his passport wasn't up to date or something.
Well, he wasn't.
Or he didn't have them.
He had his passport. He wasn't. He didn't get it stamped properly. So like when you leave a country, you have to stamp from that country. And then when you get to the next country, you have to get another stamp. And he wasn't getting a stamp from Belize because he knew that they would detain him.
Yeah, that makes logical sense.
And so that's when they got to, was it Guatemala? Is that what Belize is borders? It borders Guatemala?
Correct. Yeah.
So when they got to Guatemala and customs was like, you guys don't have a stamp. And he goes, you need to get a stamp. And they go, okay. So then his girlfriend at the time, remember Samantha, she had an uncle who's like a famous attorney general in Guatemala. And they were like contacting the uncle to somehow meet up with him so they could get like their passports stamped, quote unquote, so they could enter Guatemala legally and not have any legal repercussions. Yeah. But yeah, he did end up getting arrested, but he was released.
And he was deported to the United States a week later.
Yeah, and they sent him back to the U.S. That's right.
And then 6 years later, the circuit court in Florida refused to dismiss a wrongful death against him for Faull's death.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then he went on the run again.
Yeah.
Because he said, like, instead of like lawyering up and going through the courts to fight it, he goes, that's not my MO. My MO is to go on the run. So he went on the run.
And that's where I'm just like, it sounds like you're guilty beyond unreasonable doubt.
It sounds like you do kind of give that off that, that persona that you are a guilty person. And it's also, you sound like a narcissist because you're going on the run because you want to be like, you want to be famous in that way. Like, oh, he's running and he wants this blog set up. He wants Vice, wants people making documentaries of him. He wants to be recorded.
That's a good point. He does sound extremely narcissistic.
Yeah. And that was one thing too, like that cameraman for Vice, he hired him like 2 other times to record him while he was on the run and make a documentary. Because when he's doing
crazy,
it's really crazy. Of course,
dude. Vice would be like, hell yeah. And
they did. If you remember in the documentary, right, that one guy went through all this crazy shit to go on the run, could have been arrested, because he's like, whatever, aiding a fucking felon or someone who's whatever, what is that called?
Aiding a felon. I mean, same thing. Conspiring.
Yeah. And
something like that.
And they do this whole thing. And then Vice is like, yeah, we're not going to run your story. It's like, what the fuck? I went through all that shit, almost got arrested in a foreign country with John McAfee, a notorious criminal now, and they don't run your story. To me, that's fucking wild. But yeah.
Yeah, it is a little crazy, isn't it? Right?
Yep.
So, you pinpointed correctly. He's just a narcissist. Like, I'm not going to fight this. I'm better than that. I'm just going to run.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Because he says, and I think during GRE, he spoke several times. He's like, I get sued all the time. So, like, he got sued for the, like, little motorbikes. Apparently, he made, like, a motorbike that had wings on it, basically. Like, small little crafts that him and his buddies got into. And his nephew died. And a friend of his nephew.
Yeah.
And so they sued him, and he's like, I wasn't even there. Why are they suing me? Well, anyone that has money is probably a target to get some sort of compensation for a tragic freak accident. And he's like, hey, look, I lost a nephew. Like, that's family. It's not. I'm not just brushing it off, sort of thing. And then you're like, okay, well, yeah, no, that makes sense. Why would you get sued if you invested in this program, though, right? You built these based on research and development, and so someone's got to be held liable, I guess. I don't know what happened in the accident. I don't know if it was an engine failure and they just died, or maybe it was a user failure. Regardless,
negligence or something
Sure, yeah. Maybe they're drinking and they took this little motorcycle plane and crashed into a building or something. Maybe not a building. Probably shouldn't say that, but
Either way, they crashed and died.
Yeah. So. Over the time, he's just been saying, like, dude, I just get sued for everything. It doesn't matter what it is, and it doesn't matter whose fault it is. So I guess to his defense of saying, I'm just going to run rather than fight it, because he's always being sued. And he's always said he has 10 plus lawsuits against him every single time. Kind of makes sense to a degree. I'm not defending him, but I can justify.
But the other reason that he was saying that he was going to run is because he... what was the program he had? It was called Every Key or Keystroke or something like that, where he said he can spy on any computer in the world. And he said that he was hacking the White House, the CIA, all these political officials, Hillary Clinton, all this stuff. And you remember that ghostwriter was talking about
oh yeah,
in the documentary,
where he's like, I don't believe anything that this guy says. And then he showed him, right?
Yeah, he was and then in the documentary, he's like, hey, can you make it so I'm not saying this authoritatively so I don't get fucking killed. Right. He's like, I'm just reporting what was said. So that was everything too. I think McAfee was trying to use that as leverage and say I'm going to go on the run and I have all this information. So if you come after me, I'm going to release all this information about all these politicians and all the wrongdoings that they've done, because I can hack any computer in the world from any location with this program.
But if you, in my opinion, if you're an altruistic, and I don't know if altruistic and narcissist can even fit in the same sentence, but wouldn't you just release that just because you are a good person? You want the good for the world? That's what true altruism,
Snowden,
right?
Like a Snowden?
Yeah. Hey, I found out a way to expose every single politician that's ever corrupted anyone, ever. Mm-hmm. And I have a way to do it on the ongoing. I have all the information for the past 20 years, 30 years, whatever. Which why wouldn't you just release it? Why doesn't anyone release that says I have this sort of information? Why? What? Are you trying to get rich beyond
Well, I think
capability?
What? I think that's part of it. I think it's money, but I think it's fear, because you just think if you have that information and somebody knows you have that information, then there's, some pretty lethal, fatal consequences. Let's look at all the people that were, associated with the Clintons that were killed.
Or the Epsteins, right? We should talk about, is it Matt Rich or something Rich? We'll talk about him. I need to bring it up during a different episode, but you're right. Jeff Epstein, I think, is a great example. That guy knows.
But you talked about this when
I did.
you talked about this in regard to McAfee because, like you said, he suffered a similar fate to Epstein, where he died by quote unquote suicide in a
Right.
Spanish prison.
Right.
And what's really interesting is
Spoiler alert.
if you go, well, he's dead. I mean,
dies.
he's dead. Which is really interesting because if you go to his website, Who is McAfee? There's
Which
all
is
these.
still running.
It is still
By the
running.
way, I looked it up today.
There's a lot of super vague articles on there about everything surrounding him. In like the autopsy report, they found a suicide note allegedly in his pocket, but the information inside that suicide note has not been released to the public. I don't even think it's been released to the family based on that article, which is super suspicious. You know what I mean? Like, why is that something that can't be released at this point?
Yeah.
Like, why does, and
who's preventing it? He just a? Do you think he was just a big bullshitter?
McAfee?
Because but like I can't
I don't know,
doubt.
dude. We'll never know.
Right. We'll never know. Right. But I can't doubt that he doesn't know his way around computers because he's been doing it 30 years before the internet was even a thing. Like you've been on the groundworks of.
You pretty much invented computers.
Yeah. You were on the ground level. You have to know everything at this point. And I'm sure, technology did, advance quite quickly, especially once we got to the internet where you just have this abundance of information. People can share ideas and whatnot. And with all the like coding languages, I don't know anything about computers or anything, but I know there's a lot of languages and you got to learn them and how to code and all that. But if he's like the grandfather of computers and coding, and like, I'm just looking at his past like 20 years of what he did and like what apps, like he was making apps for companies, for Google, and opening up all these businesses that are all, IT related. Like the guy never stopped doing that passion. I think that drove him to gain his riches. And I was looking at this in August 2009, New York Times reported that McAfee's personal fortune declined to only $4 million from a peak $100 million, which I think that's probably pretty low. I would think $100 million for a guy that created like an antivirus that was on every single person's computer. That or he just got shafted from a deal. But I don't think money was a problem. But I think everyone lost a lot of money during the financial crisis of the housing bubble there. So it's interesting, and I'm not, and like you said, we'll never know.
But I think the three main conspiracies surrounding him are him, like the real reasons he was on the run.
Yeah.
The conspiracy surrounding how his neighbor died. Did he actually have damning information on the elites, politicians, etc.? 4, did he really die by suicide in a Spanish prison?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of questions there that need to be checked out. I'm sure someone has answers and someone will.
Well, sure. Everyone knows a piece of everything.
Yeah, right. Yeah, is Julian Assange still alive? Or did he die too?
Mm-hmm.
You know who Julian Assange is?
I do know who Julian Assange is, but I don't know if he's alive. As far as I was concerned, he was still alive, but he's still in prison.
Yeah, he's only 52. Yeah. Yeah, he's still alive. I think.
WikiLeaks.
Yeah, the reason if anyone doesn't know, he created WikiLeaks, which is supposed to be a like the center for whistleblowers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where Edward Snowden posted his stuff at. And he's been trying to seek asylum for probably 15, 20 years now. Like he's been in prison, and I'm pretty sure he's in the United States wants him. But I think he's like in a European country in a living in a embassy. So like no one can really touch him because he's not like and that's where he has to live at. So he can't leave this place, quote unquote.
Is WikiLeaks still a thing, or is it like?
Oh yeah, dude.
It is.
Yeah. Type it up right now.
I thought that was in the deep web.
Oh no, anyone can access it.
Yeah, I thought it was in the deep web.
You can find anything. I mean, we're talking everything from Hillary Clinton's emails to probably stuff that, I don't know, John McAfee stuff. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. So yeah, those are the 4 conspiracies regarding him. And there's not like any solid information out there about, because like we're never going to know about Jeff Epstein or what happened there.
No.
We all know that he didn't kill himself. I'm pretty sure in the last coming weeks of John's death, he said he wasn't suicidal and said, I will never kill myself. He even put a tattoo on his arm, I think.
Whacked.
Whacked. Yeah, that he said he'd never kill himself. And I got to believe someone that says they'll never kill himself, that they probably won't ever kill themselves.
My only rebuttal to that is one of his main reasons for running away from the law is he knew that if he was caught and he's like, they slap me with, bullshit charges and they make it stick, then essentially it's a life sentence in prison. Because he's like, when he's on JRE, when this all first starts, he's like 67 years old. So you got to think when towards the end of it, he's 9 years later, he's almost 80 years old, right? And so you slap a couple of tax charges. I mean,
he looked pretty decent like towards the end of his life, though, which is crazy for the amount of drugs and alcohol that guy.
Well, that's probably why he stayed skinny, right? But
that's true.
Yeah, but I mean, you think about that. That's an interesting point. I mean, if it is tax fraud and capital gains fraud or whatever the hell it was revolving around the cryptocurrency, from what I saw, it was like they carry a max of 5 years, but it depends on how many charges. And, he gets like 4 or 5 charges. That's, even 6 charges, that's 20. Yeah, it's 25 years. That's 25, 30 years.
That's enough for a life sentence at a 87-year-old, right?
Yeah, near 80-year-old. So that was like his main worry, I think, with going to jail was, if he goes to jail, he's going away for life, even if it's only 10 to 20 years, right? Yeah. So my only rebuttal to him maybe being suicidal is that once he was caught in the Spanish prison, he was thinking, this is it. My life is over. I'm not going to let them decide when I die. I'm going to choose when I die.
And I can see that being like a narcissist, right?
Right.
And kind of follows suit exactly of that.
And that would be my only rebuttal to that. But again, he did say a lot that he was not suicidal and went as far as to tattoo it on his body. So again, we don't know. And he never released any information on, the alleged information that he had on any elites, any politicians. He never released that information. So we don't know if he actually had it, if he was bluffing, or if he really did have it and he was just waiting for the right time and place, whenever that was. Because while he was on the run, he ran for the presidency twice.
You're right.
16 and 20 as a libertarian.
Yeah, that's right. Going up against Gary Johnson, right?
Yeah, which is wild.
That is absolutely crazy, to be honest. While you're talking about that, I was just looking up the last article that's been released from WikiLeaks was 2021. So I'm pretty sure it's inactive now. And apparently it's been really hard to obtain any stuff that's been released on the website itself. So, wonder who took that down.
John McAfee.
No, I think if anything, John McAfee would be a big supporter, I would think. Unless they had beef on him.
Unless it rivaled his who is McAfee blog. And he wanted to discredit anybody else. Yeah, I don't know, man. He's he's a very eccentric human being.
Yeah, he definitely was egocentric type personality. Yeah. Very, very interesting man. He's someone I want to go have a beer with, but question everything. And I think Joe, for as old as that episode is, still did a good job of asking, some really good, investigative questions towards him. that he's been always doing, right? He's just a good interviewer type person. I know he always says, "Oh, it's just a conversation," but he like
Well, that's an interview.
You're right. Well, right, but he says, I think in more recent episodes, he's like, "Oh, I just want to have a conversation with people and get to know them." I don't believe that. I think Joe's just really good at prying people where he has a strong fundamental disagreement with someone. He challenges on them, and I appreciate that from any sort of viewpoint, right? Because it doesn't seem like Joe takes sides with anyone. I don't really see strong beliefs on anything. I feel like he's a very centralist type of person. And anyone that ever says, "Oh, he's like super Republican and whatnot," uh, I'd, I'd have to disagree with you. Coming from, I used to be Republican. Now I'm very like independent at this point. I know what that side, takes, and if anything, he was more liberal than anyone with a platform. Not anyone, but I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. I think he's very centralist type of person.
I think he's pretty central. He's pretty centrist.
You kind of have to be if you're going to have a platform,
right? But that also
capacity, right?
Yeah, but that also makes him more like whenever he has somebody on, likable, and it's like he's more relatable. He relates to more people that way,
Right.
It's not he's one. He doesn't only attract conservative people or only attract liberal people. He's able to attract from both sides of the aisle, which I think makes it a more interesting conversation because you can relate to him, you can disagree with him, and all in 3 hours,
All in 3 hours, just nice short episodes.
Yeah. But I think that's a good thing about him having, and that's why he says he does long form episodes, is because it's not like, fast paced, bang, bang, bang. It's
right.
We're going to sit down, we're going to talk about, who you are and, why you're on the podcast, unless it's like, one of his comedian friends. Sure. But I think, it allows you to get to know the person better, understand why they had the point of view that they have. And
you're not going into a Bert Kreischer and Joe Rogan podcast being like, "Oh, I can't wait to find out about Bert and see what
you already know about fucking Bert. You
right.
already know who Bert is.
Yep. Tom, Shane Gillis, those types of people. Yeah, he's very interesting to listen to.
He was a huge pioneer for the podcast
he was
industry, he paved the way.
Probably was the pioneer of podcasting. It was
him and like Adam Carolla.
Yeah, you're right. Adam Carolla. That's a good point. From former Mad TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was it Mad TV or
Spike?
The Man Show.
I think the Man Show was on Spike or Mad TV.
Yeah, Spike TV.
I think it was one of the two, because that's when I remember growing up as a kid watching 1,000 Ways to Die.
1,000 Ways to Die on Spike TV.
Oh my gosh, dude. That show is crazy. I loved watching that show.
Yeah, dude.
And they also, I don't know if it was that show, but they also had where they tested it was kind of like myths, but like raunchy myths and stuff like that. But it was like more science based. And I remember this episode about does like the environment make you drunk, or is it the actual substance? Which obviously I think we can all agree, if you drink enough beer, wine, whatever your drink of choice is, you're going to get screwed up eventually. But they had a placebo group which drank non-alcoholic beer, which even if you have like 12 non-alcoholic beers, you can't even get close to being intoxicated. And then they gave the other group real beers, and then tell anyone. And the people who drank non-alcoholic beers acted, and I don't think there's like a measurement you can really have, right? Acted just as drunk as the people that were actually drinking beer. And so the environment plays just as an importance on the way that you behave out in public versus if you're drinking non-alcoholic beer, or no matter the substance, which I found fascinating.
That's like, what do they call it? Like a contact high, or?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
A placebo effect. I mean, I think I know as soon as, like, if I have a headache and I reach for my baggie of Tylenol. I know it looks like drugs, but it's Tylenol, acetaminophen. As soon as I take these, like, not but 15 minutes later, I'm feeling so much better. because I know that medicine's in my body, even though it takes 45 minutes to an hour to actually metabolize and do something.
No, it takes 15 minutes orally.
No, 15 minutes for
15,
pills
20.
like that?
Yep.
Oh, well, then I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. Here I am. I should be talking to you about medications and whatnot.
Well, it depends on unless you have like a tablet that's like, extended release or something like that.
Okay, right.
But like
Naturally.
Tylenol is meant to like,
be fast acting.
Yeah, and it's the way that it's designed. It's your body goes through a first pass effect, which is when it metabolizes it, and then you get the effect. That's why
it works quick, man. It does work. I'll say that.
Yeah.
If you get headaches every now and then, like I do, man, pop 2 of those bad boys. You're solid. Seriously.
That's why IV medications are so much faster, because it's like
it's like
5 minutes.
Right. You're pretty instant.
It's working. Yep.
Unless you're like my wife that just suffers from chronic migraines, and dude, and that's kind of all we're going to talk about John McAfee, right? I don't really have anything else to cover about him.
Well, I mean, the main thing about John McAfee was like he was a genius, right?
Absolutely.
He was a computer genius and a pioneer in the antivirus world. Has like one of the most popular antivirus programs known to man.
Is it still out?
Yeah, it is. I use it.
Okay.
I use it, and it's good. It's good stuff. I like it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He was this genius, and then
it was Norton that bought him out.
Norton. Okay. So Norton is McAfee then.
Wait. Never mind. Sorry, that was just the next Google ad. My bad. Never mind.
Who bought him?
I don't know. Let's see. I continue talking. I'll look it up.
But it was the whole him leaving the U.S., moving to Belize, tax evasion, the creating the hyper
Intel. That makes sense.
Intel. Okay, that was okay. Well, that makes sense why it's on every computer then.
Yeah, right? But not until 2011.
Right. But before that, it was like Norton Antivirus was always on the computer. Now it was like McAfee. I feel like they preload all of them, and you just can pick.
$14 billion was bought. Damn.
Oh, I thought it was only like 7 or 8. It's double that.
Damn.
But yeah, dude, he's like this genius. I think he had a rough childhood growing up. I think his dad was abusive towards his mom and towards him. And
that's why dad abused his mom?
Yeah. Which, there it is. Look at that. McAfee. It just popped up on my computer. McAfee Safety.
It heard you. It heard you. It said, you need an update.
It was my VPN report.
These Trojans, dude.
It was my VPN report. But yeah, I think his dad was abusive towards him and his mom. And that was another part of the story, was his dad committed suicide. But then John McAfee told somebody in confidence that he was like, I shot my father.
Oh, you did? Oh my God. I
Remember
forgot
that?
about that.
And he admitted to killing his father.
It was like the first 20 minutes of that. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
You're just going to drop this bomb on me? And like, that's it?
Yeah. He admitted to somebody that he shot his father. It wasn't by suicide. And that kind of like leads you to think like, okay, so this dude is capable of murder. Maybe he did kill his neighbor.
Yeah.
So like it's a very interesting story with a lot of question marks surrounding his death, his neighbor's death. And did he actually have dirt on all these politicians and elites? And it's like, we'll never get that information unless somebody is able to find it and release it.
Yeah, it is a little bit crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, there's just nothing that we're going to get answers about. I got to look at this Gregory Faull guy.
Because I thought he had some sort of relation to...
Do you think Gregory Faull actually poisoned John's dogs?
I don't know.
Okay, so this was the other point I want to bring up about that, because I think this blows my mind. Gregory had dogs too.
Right.
And me being a dog owner, as much as like I hate my neighbor's dogs when they bark, maybe it'd be 2:00 in the morning, whatever. I don't think I ever have the courage, not even courage, the will to say, I'm going to fucking kill that dog. You know, I even have that mind even go through my brain. would make me
Go through with that.
inexcusable to even be a dog owner myself. I couldn't ever.
And what's funny is McAfee actually brings that up when he's talking to Joe Rogan. He says any dog lover would not, kill another dog. Like, I don't.
But do you think he's
He
just
wouldn't do
saying
that.
that because he's just trying to make a pretty valid excuse to say, well, but wait, never mind, because he's defending Greg at that point.
He's saying that, like, he thinks that he's 100% sold that Greg killed his dogs. And he goes, any good dog owner, like anyone that loves dogs wouldn't do that. And it's like, well, Joe Rogan's like, well, that's not necessarily true. Like, you can love dogs and then you could hate the person so much that owns the dogs that you would kill those dogs. Like, that's still a thing. There's still sociopaths who love animals, but would go to lengths to, do something to somebody else. So
Yeah, it's here. I'm looking up Gregory Faull and like his death. Island resident question on the murder of Gregory Faull. On Wednesday, February 10th, this is 2016, San Pedro police received special orders to detain Amy Herbert Imsweiler. Request came from the Belize Criminal Investigation Branch, the CIB, like their version of the FBI, in Belize. Wanted questioning for the investigation of the murder of Greg. Is still being overseen by the CIB along with the assistance of the FBI. Okay, look at me. I'm so good. Let's go. After police detain Amber, she was escorted to the precinct and was questioned by both the CIB and FBI. And I'm not really getting any context of like how she's even related, other than she used to be a girlfriend of Greg's. In 2012, Faull's daughter filed a lawsuit against McAfee and her for orchestrating and abetting in the killing of her father. Case is not yet to hear a verdict, and McAfee remains adamant that he did not play any part of the killing of Faull. You really think like an old ex-girlfriend would go and shoot?
you pay her enough
I don't
money.
know. I mean, yeah, pay her enough money, and she knows. Because I think during the documentary, John said that he was he drinks more than the average person.
Yeah.
Not, probably like, and shit, man, you're like in paradise every single day.
You obviously have money.
Right. You probably don't really care, so who cares? You probably are drinking a little bit more than the average person.
You drink more than the average person.
I drink more than the average person. You're damn right. I talked to a doctor we had a doctor on the bachelor party, and he said, yeah, anything more than 2 a day is considered bad. And I was like, 2 a day? I was like, what if you save it all up for like the weekend where you can have like 14? He's like, that's not how that works. I was like, damn, dude. Well, I'm screwed.
Well, my alcohol budget's at 14. I'm good for Saturday. I haven't had anything.
Right. Can I cash it all in at the end of the month where I just want to, go with the 39 rounder? No.
Stay 30. I haven't had anything. 60 drinks.
You got a thank you, bartender.
God, dude.
2 drinks. I'm like, dude, that's not even fun. Can I supplement that with another drug or something? God. Why even drink if you're going to have 2 drinks? Are you going to feel anything from that?
Had a bourbon while we were talking.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, a little Weller 12.
I get it because it tastes good.
It's tasty.
Get a little buzz. Just a little tiny one. Anyways. I don't even know where I was going with this. Yeah. $14 billion he sold that company for. But I think he left the company like way beyond. It says he left it in 1994, so who knows how much.
He left his own company in 94?
Yeah, 7 years after it was started.
Jeez.
But the guy's been like making I wouldn't say making companies, but like has been in the proposition of getting apps and stuff. Like one of the big sponsors for Aston Martin, I believe, the Formula One team is Cozignat or something like that. It's COZ. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Yeah, COGI. Oh my gosh, COGNIZANT.
Cognizant.
Yeah,
Cognizant.
we're not going to talk about it. But he made the app for this company, and it's currently its revenue is $16 billion a year.
Damn.
So it was purchased by Google, and then Google sold it to the Cognizant. And I was like, wait, I know that logo from somewhere. And I was like, oh yeah, it's on the back of one of the F1 teams, on one of their wings. So I don't know. They're doing something. He's doing something. He did good things for the IT industry. I don't know if, again, I'm still kind of like, I don't know if he's a piece of shit or if he was justified. I feel bad for Gregory, obviously. I think anything with not a wrongful death, but like someone gets murdered and like you have can you imagine being that family? Any family ever that like someone gets murdered and you just never know to the rest of your day that you die?
No, you have no closure. No closure at all on who killed your fucking loved one.
That'd be terrible, man. I wouldn't be like depressed. Can you imagine like Bailey dying like by someone else, right?
It'd be a never knowing. I think I'd just be angry.
Depressed. I'd be so
Depressed and
angry.
angry.
Like, why did you do this to me? What did I do to deserve this emotional disparity for the rest of my life? It really break me.
It'd break any normal person.
Break any
normal person.
unnormal person, unless you're like a murderer. Then you're like, huh, big deal. But
here I go killing again.
Yeah, unless you're Michael Combropoulos.
Combropoulos Michael.
Oh shit, I didn't. Damn. Cardarius Tony.
Combropoulos Tony. Yeah, dude. God.
That'd be hard. That'd be hard having no closure like that.
Yeah. And knowing that it might have been an eccentric millionaire computer tycoon.
What if you're like
the most famous antivirus software known to man.
You're like, oh, I definitely know John had some sort of role in it. Like, there's just no way it didn't. Yeah. To a certain degree. I don't know, how much these two talked. And if dogs are really pissing you off that much, like you're not just talking to them. Hey man, can you put your dogs in the night?
Well, it sounds like that was the dispute.
Are the dogs not in his house?
I don't know. They're probably just roaming the property.
Because solve that problem is pretty easy. Just put my dogs inside, and yeah, if they bark inside, like you're probably not going to hear them unless I have every single window open. And I don't know if Belize has like air conditioning.
I hope so.
I don't know, man. Like you go to, and I'm not talking anything about Central America or South America or anything, but like
sounds like you are.
Europe doesn't have air conditioning.
They don't have air conditioning?
Apparently.
What?
Yeah. Type it into Google.
You type it into Google.
Does Europe?
Saying some crazy shit right now.
I am?
Yeah. Europe doesn't have air conditioning? The fuck out of here.
I'm pretty sure they don't. Okay, so air conditioned offices are common in Europe, but it's exceedingly rare to find AC units in homes.
Okay. So how do they keep their...
So you go to work and yeah, you got air conditioning, but when you go home, you're screwed. It's 100 degrees out today, dude. Deal with it. I'm not like bullshitting with you. I wouldn't I wouldn't just be like, hey, they don't have air conditioning in Europe. Like we've had air conditioning in the United States for what, at least 70 years?
There's just no way.
How long has the United States had have air conditioning since 1932. We've had it for almost 100 years, and Europe's still like, nah, we're good. Which,
so
I'd like
that.
Please entertain me.
Why don't they use AC in Europe? The average temperature in Germany is 10 degrees Celsius, right? So that's like 50
Like
degrees.
60, yeah.
Because in most
What's the
European,
average temperature in Kansas City, though?
fuck,
Year
dude.
round.
Well, I mean, it ranges from negative 20 to fucking 110 seasonally.
That's what I'm saying.
But what they're saying is in most European countries, people simply don't need AC. It hardly ever gets hot enough in most countries to seriously warrant the purchase and cost of running AC.
I understand that.
Interesting.
But they I saw TikTok the other day where they're like girls in Rome, and I don't know like where Rome is on the latitudinal scale.
Longitudinal, latitude. I don't know. Right. I know what you're saying.
But I imagine they're a little bit further south than UK, obviously, right? Much further south. Like you can't tell me Spain doesn't have air conditioning.
Let's find out. Does Spain have AC? Only 33% of Spanish homes have air conditioning.
Okay. We are
70% of homes. It says naturally a higher percentage of homes have air conditioning in the warmest regions. In the city of Seville, I don't know how to say that. 70% of houses have AC. Okay. That
makes sense. Okay. Especially like UK, Ireland, those places are like northern Canada.
Right.
So that makes sense. Germany, yeah, you're right on the Canadian border. France, you're up there with like Maine, some of the Canadian provinces. Spain is like when you're getting into the Pennsylvania, Ohio, like where we live, Midwest.
Average annual temperatures in Spain range between lower than 2.5 degrees Celsius and higher than 18 degrees Celsius. So it's like 2.5 degrees
Plus
Celsius
or minus 8 degrees
is like what, 20 degrees? Like, well, no, because 0 degrees is 32, right?
Yeah, it's like 8 degrees.
What? What is 8 degrees?
Hold on. Are we gonna go here? What are we even talking about now?
I don't know, dude. 2.5 degrees.
All right, Fahrenheit to Celsius.
36.5 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit is 2.5 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
Because 0 degrees Celsius is 32 degrees Fahrenheit.
The conversion is, do you really want to know? Because it's not a great conversion.
It's like 9/5 plus 32.
Yeah, I mean, give or take, pretty much.
No, that's what it is.
That is actually is. I was reading it backwards, so it was like whatever degrees is minus 32 and then times 5/5.
5/5?
5/9, sorry.
There you go. Well, that's Fahrenheit to Celsius.
Yes.
Celsius is what I said was Celsius to Fahrenheit.
I know, that's why I said the opposite. God, dude. Yeah.
Take it easy, man.
No. Dude, how am I gonna stop smoking? I'll be the angriest person in the world.
Yeah, don't stop smoking, dude.
Okay, you got it. Doctor said,
health, dude. Forget your health.
Yeah, doctor.
Wait, did you see the doctor recently, or are you talking about the one you saw on your?
The one we saw on the. I just was like, everyone was asking questions, and I was like, "Hey, I've been smoking for like 10 years. How long do I got?" He's like, "If you quit now, you'll as long as you live another 15, you should be just as good as everyone else." I was like, "I don't know about just as good, dude," but he's like, "You'll be fine." I was like, "Okay, all right." Well,
if you quit now.
He says like basically like after you stop, if you've been smoking for like every day for like 10 to 20 years, 20 years on the max, he's like, that's a long time. like 1 pack a day.
How much do you
Said-
smoke?
Like a pack a day. Pretty close. Say I'm right under, but I'm pretty damn close.
Are you gonna stop smoking, dude? Or are you gonna smoke less? Maybe try smoking less per day.
I know. I need to like.
So if
I
you
think
smoke how much is in a pack?
26.
So starting tomorrow.
No, not starting tomorrow.
Starting tomorrow, I'll smoke 25 cigarettes and not 26.
No, it's 20 cigarettes in a pack. You mean like
20?
19 cigarettes? Yeah.
I thought you said 26.
No, 20 cigarettes. 20 cigarettes. 20
Okay.
cigarettes in a pack.
Okay, so tomorrow I'll do 19. And then after that, try 18.
I mean, logically, that makes sense to just dwindle it down.
Kind of
one
wean
per
yourself
day.
off and go to like one
I don't
to
think that's
5 cigarettes per
I
day.
was more or less thinking like start off the new year with 20 cigarettes and then every month after.
One less.
No, not one. Because I'm like, am I really weighting myself? I was thinking like 5 after that. Start
5 a
from
day?
20, 15. No.
Oh, minus 5. I got you.
Per month. So by the time I'm
5 cigarettes
June?
a month? Damn, that's hard. That'd be tough, dude.
That would be tough. That'd be like what I've always told myself is, I'll only do what I drink. I think I just drank even more.
It costs you to drink more, dude.
Just like, always hammered. I'm just like, well, I guess it's time for a smoke.
You thought you were gonna smoke less, and all I did was make you drink more.
I'm smoking and drinking even more.
It just compounded your fucking health problems.
You're like, well, you're looking at another additional 35 years of living. Now you cut that down to fucking 5, buddy.
Yeah. We're hoping you make it to retirement.
I hope I do. I hope so too. I don't know.
If you're not working to make it to retirement, then what is all this working been for?
I mean, I probably wouldn't work at all.
Well, you are working.
Well, I'm saying if I'm not working towards retirement, right? Then I wouldn't work at all. If I know that I'm just gonna die by 55, 60,
You're gonna keep smoking all you want.
bro. Party at my house every day. You want to have a good time?
Not a long time.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what Mr. Lewis said. Huey Lewis in the news.
Here for a good time, not a long time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that's where that quote comes from.
Makes sense. It makes sense.
Sure does, man. Well, on that note, is there anything else about John that you want to talk about? That's just itching.
No, dude, I think we've kind of hit.
I think we covered it.
I think we covered it, and I don't think we answered any questions. I think all we did was lay out the insanity of his life, and
but there's no answers to be found. Like maybe okay. Well, hold on. For the people out there that are wanting answers, here's what I'll do. I'll get on the dark, deep web, see what I can conjure up for any information. And then, I'll do for the next episode, a little 10-minute cap. If I can find any information, if not. But guys, we just want to make it aware, I guess.
This whole podcast is about covering conspiracies.
Right.
We're covering a conspiracy. It's not about necessarily finding the answers. It's like, here's a conspiracy. And here's why it's interesting.
Wouldn't it be fun if every now and then we came up with an answer?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how to come up with
no, you can't come up with the answers because these are all like,
well, I mean,
how did JFK die? Well,
we can come up with answers.
Did it.
We can come up with answers. Doesn't mean they're right. You can give your thoughts,
suggestions,
and opinions.
All right. Here's my final opinion.
I think he conspired to kill his neighbor. I think he did.
I think he hired someone. Neighbor died. He should be liable for it. I mean, he can't. He's dead.
Right.
And he was always on the run because he was always fucking guilty of everything that he did.
And he was a narcissist.
I think he did a lot of good for the IT world and hopefully maybe.
Sure.
I just wish if you're going to say, I have all this beef on all these people.
Yeah. If you got all the dirt, release it. Yeah.
Release it.
I think he's bluffing.
You know you're gonna die anyways. So what's the harm gonna be?
That doesn't make me. So that makes me think that he didn't have the information he said
right?
I don't think he had the information he said he did. I think he did kill himself because he knew that he was guilty and gonna essentially give himself a life sentence, and he killed himself because he wanted to go out his own way. And that's what I think. Maybe the more fun answer is that he did have dirt on all these elites and politicians, and he didn't kill himself.
Yeah, and someone killed him in jail.
Somebody killed him in jail because they didn't, again, like Epstein. That's the fun answer.
That's the fun one.
I don't believe that answer. I believe the other one. I believe the former answer.
100%. I think that's the most logical way I can put it because there's no really because. You said it all. It all makes logical sense. And that's it. I think that's John McAfee's life ended the way that he kind of like pointed all the fingers towards, like, to himself, right? He basically went, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I think he nailed it.
Yeah. I think I nailed that one.
Did good, dude. Good job.
Thanks, man.
Great investigative work.
Do what I can for our fans.
Dude,
all 18 of our subscribers.
We got a lot of fans.
Please share the podcast with everyone. And please like it.
Subscribe, do whatever.
Like, subscribe, share it, pass it
and
around.
Watch it.
And watch it all.
I don't film myself just to have you guys listen on Spotify.
Because I now have it to where we can actually do this. We can do live shows too. Once we build an audience, we can start doing live shows.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I can't wait to actually be extremely prepared. I'm kidding. I always come prepared. I know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, we are prepared now. Okay. Because we take this shit serious.
Right. Yeah. We want to talk about Hunter Biden, but it's going to be a lot of research, a lot of work.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's going to be a multi-part thing. It's a lot of shit.
Yeah, it is.
So that's going to take some planning.
Yeah. So the
Twitter files.
The Twitter files.
Episode 47 of the Twitter files.
And the intermit time. Maybe Seth Rich. Maybe we should cover him.
I don't know Seth Rich, so I'm excited to dive into that.
It has a lot to do with the 2016 election and the Clintons, like he said prior. So I think you would.
I'm intrigued.
Like Mr. Seth Rich. So go look him up. For all you other people, thank you for listening. We appreciate you if you made it this far. And have a wonderful day, whatever you're doing.
Appreciate you guys supporting the podcast, and we'll see you in the next one.
Congratulations, you've made it to the end. You might as well tune in for the next episode of Indecent Exposure. That's all, folks. Until next time, Space Cowboy.